I hope will come out of the BPF Futures Challenge is some fresh ideas, some fresh thinking, people working together and collaborating around the future of our high streets. And if you think about how things are changing so rapidly, think about how retail is changing with things like Amazon, Spotify, all those kind of things that are revolutionising how we consume. I think it's really important we get people who are experiencing that in their own lives, particularly the millennials or even the Generation X now, coming in and thinking about what do they want from the high street in 10, 20, 30 years' time. And I think if we get those ideas in, will help to build high streets that are sustainable for the future.
We've been operating with gut feel from a very long time, what we think might work given what we're talking and experiencing. Asset managers used to talk like that all the time. They still do probably. But gut feel doesn't work in a changing world. How can you have gut feel for a world that you haven't experienced before? And the millennial and the Gen Z driven world is so drastically different. How can you possibly have gut feel for something so new that you haven't experienced before? The only way to understand and operate in that and be successful is to look at data. And so I think a data-driven approach will probably be the sign and mark of people who will be successful. Even Amazon, as you know, is like a super data-driven organization. So the more we look at the data and become unbiased, I think we will be making better decisions.
So I think there's a few things I would focus in on here. One being data, and how do you build data into everything that you do, both in terms of legitimizing your argument, but also innovative uses of data through the life cycle of your project. Secondly, I'd think about how do you identify all those with an interest in your project succeeding and build those stakeholders in from the ground up, really understanding that ultimately a sustainable, more successful area here impacts so many different people, and you can actually build that community engagement from the ground up. And thirdly, be really bold. This is an opportunity to take a blank sheet of paper and say, what could we do differently? How could we start to think about a new reality for our high street areas, our urban centres, and create some inspiration for the rest of the market?
And one of the challenges that all of our teams bringing their enthusiasm and creativity to bear on the challenge for them will be the fragmented ownership of our high streets, and actually partnership between the public and the private sectors and across the two sectors will be critical to unlocking those challenges. So I'm hoping that our entrants will have some really exciting ideas about how to build new and exciting partnerships that bring people together and create common purpose around reimagining our high streets.
So I think bold decisions is part of this. So, I think there's some really big opportunities at the moment we've been talking about today, in terms of an evolving commercial model between landlord and tenant. So if we can start to understand what is the potential for this particular tenant to achieve a return, can we start to tie part of the rent into the overall package? Can we create more of an upside opportunity, but potentially reduce some of the downside or take on some of the downside risk? And as a result, start to attract the right types of tenants onto the high street.